Hi, David. They call me MacGyver. Today I'm going to do a little review and show how to assemble the Harbor Freight Chicago Electric welding table. I wasn't going to do a review on it, but after I started putting it together, it's a little bit intense because everything's in metric. They give you extra parts. There's parts they don't give you. Some of the parts had bad threads on them, so I'm going to go through it so I can see if I can help somebody else to kind of curtail some of the problems. So hang tight and we're going to get started with this. So I've already got it assembled, and I'm going to go through and show you on my list. On page 6, this is your parts list, which is kind of weird. It's in the back instead of the front. So here's my list. They show the tabletop, which there's the tabletop over there. They show the washer 6.5 by 1.5 millimeter. They say there's 8 of them. There's actually only 4 of them, which that's really all you need. And what those are used for, these brackets right here, the top has a countersunk screw, so it's kind of dimpled in, and there's a one. So you see that washer right there, it fits around that, but it sits flat against this part here. And when you're putting these on, make sure that the flange comes into the center so it'll line up with these brackets here. So it goes this direction. The instructions look like it goes the other way, so I put them on the other way first and I had to change them. So anyway, you've got that washer right there. That is that 6.5 by 1.5 millimeter, which is right there. The next thing is bolt 8 millimeter by 20 millimeter, and there's 4 of them. And those are the bolts that hold this bracket, the whole tabletop bracket, to this flange here. These are the bolts, okay? The next is the tabletop brackets, which are these, that one, and that one. The nut, 5 millimeter, again, says that there's 8, there's only 4. And those are the nuts that actually are these little ones right here. That's right, 5 millimeter. That's the 5 millimeter nut right here that goes on this. Then there's the angle bracket, and there's 2 of those. So the angle bracket, there's 2 of them. This is one. That's so you can adjust the angle of the table. The other one's over. Then it says there's a washer, 8.5 millimeter by 1.2 millimeter. There's 12 of them, and there are 12. So that's these washers here, but you actually only need 8. So they give you 12, but you only use 8 of those. Then there's a nut, 8 millimeter nut. There's 12 of those, but they're not all the same. There's fiber, the fiber lock nuts, and there are also just a standard nut. There's 4 of those, and there's 8 of these. And you want to use the fiber lock nuts on the base because this, these legs collapse in. They actually pivot in like this, so you can fold it up. And so you don't want those too tight, but you don't want them to come loose either. So that allows you to do that. And also fiber lock nut on these 2. And these are stationary, so I used one fiber lock nut and one that wasn't a fiber lock nut on both of those on that. And then also this bar here, there's a lot. I just put a regular nut on there because this isn't going to be pivoting or anything. It's solid, and there's another nut there. So those are the 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4 on the inside of this other down underneath here. So those are the 4 that are not fiber lock nuts. And then the bolt 8 millimeter by 45 millimeter, there's 2, and those 2 actually go into the handle, and they come, there's a nut already welded on the back. Make sure you put this nut to the inside on these brackets when you assemble it. And if you just hold your little finger inside that, there's a hole right there. You can hold your little finger in there, and then you can just kind of spin this to screw the nut in. And that's so that you can unscrew this to loosen it so that you can tip and pivot your table. It's got for 5 different positions, excuse me. Then they have, let me see, the adjustable handle too. That's that. And that one down there. Washer 8.5 by 1.8 millimeter. There's 2. And those are kind of shaped like that. And this little part that sticks in actually is right there. It's that washer. And because these has like holes here, it fits into that. When you loosen it, that fits into the round part, but you have to loosen both of them, then you can pivot this bench. And when you tighten it back up, then it's not hitting on the plastic or anything. It's actually the washer that's hitting in those round holes to lock them into those positions. And the 8 by 50 millimeter, there's 6 of those. And those are these 2 here, these 2 here, and this one, and that one. Those are the 6 50 millimeter. And then you've got 2 support legs, this one and that one. Plastic feet. These were already on the unit when it came in the package. 6 millimeter by 20 millimeter. There's 2 of those, or 4 of those, 6 millimeter by 20 millimeter. And let me see, 6 by 20, where did those go? Oh, I know why I'm stumped on that, because this was already assembled. And they're not really bolts, they're screws. So these, this item number 15 is actually those screws right there, right there. So that's a tool bracket, and it was already actually on there. You can see all the holes in it where you can hang your tools. The tool hanger, like I said, that was already installed. You don't have to worry about that. The lever bolts, there's 6 millimeter by 12 millimeter. There's 4 of those. That's these 4, there, there, and there. And long guide rail, there's 1 of those. The long guide rail is this one right here. Then they have the 5 millimeter by 10 millimeter, and it says that there's 4 of those. And that actually, those aren't bolts. Those are actually screws. And that's the countersunk screws that are recessed, because this is dimpled in so it's flush. So there's 4 of those that hold the bracket on the bottom of the table. That's the back of those with the fiber lock nuts on them. And then the vertical post, there's 2 of those. This one and this one. Support brace, there's 1 of those. That's this one right there. And 8 millimeter by 65 millimeter bolt. It's kind of funny, they're not hex head, they're actually Phillips heads. There's 2 of those. And that's this one and this one, and I'll take you around and show you. They are Phillips heads. So those 2 are Phillips heads. And so we got 4 extras, and then these bolts here are extras. And this is one of the nuts that are supposed to fasten that. Fortunately I had one in my supply. I don't know if you can see this, but there's no threads inside that nut. I sat there for a long time trying to get the screw on, and go, wait, what's going on? Yeah, so there's no threads. I had another one in my supply of spare parts, so I was able to get that. Anyway, that's all the different parts. And then you start off with putting these legs into the upright here. You put those 2 bolts in, get those started. Then you can put the cross brace in. You can put this bracket on here. You can mount this to the table. You can mount these to the table. And then you put the table onto these brackets and put these 4 nuts in. And when you put this handle in, the easiest way is just put your little finger in the hole, or a pencil or something to put because it's got like a hex shape inside there. And then you can just kind of spin this to get it to go in, because these are nuts already welded onto the back of the bracket there, and that goes into those. And those you'll loosen up both of them when you want to tilt your table to a different angle. Now, the beauty of this table is you can clamp your ground anywhere to it, so you don't have to try to clamp it onto your device you're welding, and then the device you're welding just sits on top of the table. And of course there's slots in there, so if you need to clamp something down, you can. So I've wanted to get one of these for quite a while because I'm getting ready to do a bunch of welding for a friend of mine, and I just figured that this was the time to do it. 90 bucks for these. They had a 20% off on the 4th of July. So I went in and got 20% off of it. I think I paid like, oh, what did I pay? $74 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it came out to, I had a $25 gift card and I ended up paying like 46 bucks for the balance. So the tools you're gonna need for this is a screwdriver or a battery powered drill with a Phillips. And then this is a 1/2 inch socket. And I just used a crescent wrench to hold the nuts on the back of these. Like the Phillips, I had to hold the nut on the back, or if I was turning the head, I would hold the crescent wrench on the back side, especially the fiber lock nuts, because those will spin on you once they hit the fiber. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope that was some good information for you. That's the Harbor Freight welding table, Chicago Electric. And the table's all assembled, and of course you can loosen these handles on the sides, and then you can actually fold this table up, make it nice and collapsed. The legs collapse so you can store it. It makes it a lot easier. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do that, and then click the bell icon, and then every time I come out with a new video, you'll be notified. I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot. You have a great day.